So we're using diagonal sections and we're creating a triangular shape, meaning that we are building up our weight from the bottom of the contour, roughly in the middle of the temple area of the head, and we're building up length and weight towards the top of the section. This will allow us to create movement, create a weight line, and also encourage the hair to move backwards. You can see as I'm working right into the back of the head now, we're over directing at least 2 or 3 sections back towards the top. This is so we can retain a nice bit of length through that crown area without taking it too short and losing the whole shape. What's important to understand is that you need to be careful of how much over direction you're using. If you want to use 2 or 3 sections back, like me here, then be careful not to do that as you're working down your fingers into your knuckles, as it will keep and retain way too much weight towards the middle of the head. Once we've reached the center on side number 1, we're now going to continue to work the same method on side number 2, where we want to match up the shape and the length from side 1 to 2. Moving on to the top of the head now, we're going to create a middle profile to see the shape that we want to create and cut, which will allow us to work either side of the balanced central parting. The parting should be no more than 1 finger's depth. Just use some clips to clean these sections out of the way and keep it nice and neat. Ideally, we would want to use a round shape on this haircut, but the length is actually too short for me to be able to do so. The reason why I'd want to work a rounder shape than a square shape is so I can remove lots of density from that fringe area. But as I said, if the length is not there, stick to a square shape, as this will allow you to still keep the hair moving backwards. If you cut a round shape on top too short and you want it to go backwards, you're in danger of all the hair reacting and moving forwards instead. So we're going to work with a nice compact square shape on top, square vertically and square horizontally, just to give that length at the front enough room to be able to move backwards. Once we've checked the length on the top and the balance from side to side, we should have that really nice strong compact shape on the top, where we're going to enhance the movement with the styling, but horizontally square and also vertically square. Let's now have a look at the disconnection from the top to the side of the head. We're then going to use a vest brush to push the hair in the direction that we want it to sit and be styled, and use the hairdryer in the same direction. So we're using the brush and the hairdryer together as one movement and pushing it in the direction that we want it to go. We're not finishing the styling at the moment, we're just pushing the hair into the position that we want it to eventually sit, so we can go in with the clipper work and clipper into the style and shape that we have created. Once the hair is about 90% dry, we can move on to our clipper work, where we're going to place a number 2 open lever on the clipper, and we're going to go quite high and aggressive with this diagonal shape to remove all of this weight and density underneath the curvature of the head shape. So really what we're doing is clippering into where we started the graduation with our fingers on the side of the head. Don't go too high, but don't leave it too low either. Now once we've finished removing the weight and length on the sides into the graduation, before we go in with the shorter length on the clipper, we're just going to refine that weight line from the clipper into the scissor work. Once I do this, it will allow me to just clipper that shorter area into the length that I've got, knowing that it's going to go completely plush from short to long without having to refine it afterwards. We're going to create the guideline working to the top of the ear, again working with that diagonal slanted upwards line higher into the temple area to create that nice high taper through the front area. We're then going to use our descending technique, which is working from the highest guard to the lowest guard. So we started with a 2, then we've just gone through with a 1.5, slightly lower. Now we're putting the number 1 guard on, and we're going to go even lower than that. Just being conscious and wary of where we've been with our previous guard. We're always flicking into the previous area, not below it. Once we have finished side number 2, we can then move on to the back area of the haircut. But first, make sure that you are symmetrical in height on the fade from side 1 to side number 2. Once we're happy with side number 2, we're now going to focus on that middle area, like I said, and we're going to use the 0.5 and the number 1 and just use purely the corner of the clipper and just start to etch out that shadow area. The slower and more controlled you do it, the better result and cleaner you will get. The last thing you want to do is create another line or more shadows. Coming on to the texturization on the top of the hair, it will need a bit of loosening up and some weight removal. I'm going to stick with my thinning scissors on this because the type of hair that it is, it would be difficult to point cut with the way that it curls around your finger. Also, I do want to remove a lot of density, and the thinning scissors will get in and remove lots of density very quickly. I don't want to just go in all guns blazing and just chomp away at every bit of hair though, as I could damage and ruin the shape that I've created. So I want to go in really nice and neat and precisely, working with clean sections, but just working through the last third of the hair. Finally, to put some texture in that fringe area, we're going to work some slicing with the V of the scissor, where we're just working it like a pen and moving it in that forward motion where we're flicking it up through the last third of the hair, taking away some of that internal density, but maintaining the length. Thanks for watching this tutorial, guys. I hope you learned a lot from the techniques and the methods and the process that I used in this haircut. See you again on the next one.